Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of Diablo 2 on Hardcore. And so we have progressed into Act 3 of Nightmare, and without any lengthy introductions we are going to be able to jump right into the gameplay in just a moment. The only thing I wanted to showcase on camera here before we get going is the fact that we're going to sell some of our old stuff, our orbs and wand, and we're also going to deposit some cash into our stash. Just like that. So of course we have transferred our gold from our inventory into our stash because the maximum amount of gold that we can carry with us is equal to 10,000 gold per level. So we were nearing that limit. And when it comes to the amount of gold we can keep in our stash, it is far less linear but also increases with level. A major breakpoint, for example, is level 31, at which point the stash can hold 800,000 gold, and it keeps growing every once in a while, so our fortune is going to be saved there. Of course, in between episodes I've also sorted everything in our stash nicely, as well as added some rejuvenation potions onto our belt, which are going to be very useful for the purpose of keeping us safe. And also with the smoother mana management introduced by the acquisition of Spirit, having just 2 columns with mana potions should be fine. And so once again, wow, we set out into the jungles of Kyrgyzstan to begin our adventure in Act 3. And of course these jungle areas do have a lot of objectives to complete, because even though Act 3 doesn't have that many super uniques to kill, there are plenty of waypoints to flag and quest objectives to accomplish. On our first pocket that we visit we already have the waypoint, and also we are going to have 2 prominent side areas that we're going to visit here on Nightmare. The Arachnid Lair, that of course we have skipped on normal, as well as the Swampy Pit a little bit later. This is just a standard area, very similar to the Spider Cavern, with a couple of special groups, a gold chest. Okay, I'm going to take that bone wand, that rejuvenation potion, and we can keep going. Alright, there we go. We got a ruby out of the deal. Oh, there are some juicy groups of spiders. I do have like 2 uniques there. And we get our jade figurine as well.
I don't sense any magic about this item. Very strange.
Oh wow. This is pretty good. This is pretty rich when it comes to the density of these monsters, especially the amount of special groups that decided to spawn for us. Quite a few of them there. Oh, and we get a lot of charms. Now, on the topic of charms, I would like to elaborate a little bit. Not small and large charms, actually, but the grand charms here in Act 3. Not in the Spider Forest yet, but I think from the Great Marsh. The grand charms that drop there are going to have the item level of 50, and that is very significant when it comes to grand charms, because at item level 50 they can spawn the prefixes that give you +1 skill to a certain tree. Well, and we have the Great Marsh already here in this first kind of fork in the road, so I think we are going to go here. We do have the waypoint, so we can just flag the waypoint here in the Great Marsh and then just go back to the Spider Forest and continue exploring there. But just to finish my thought about those skillers, as they are popularly known, those are grand charms that you know, have the chance to increase the skills of a certain skill tree of yours by 1. So of course they are very sought after, very nice. And that's just the prefix, so they can still have a suffix, although there is only a 25% chance that a charm has both a prefix and a suffix. There's a 50% chance that it's going to have a prefix, and a 25% chance that it's only going to have a suffix. And these skill properties are characteristic to the prefixes that these charms can spawn. And being on the topic of these skillers and item level 50, it is actually pretty beneficial to start collecting grand charms of item level 50 or higher to re-roll them later into potential skillers. There is a Quadra Cube recipe that involves 3 perfect gems and the magic item, so it's not the cheapest recipe, but you can re-roll the properties of a magic item with it. And of course, when it comes to grant charms of the appropriate item level, you know, you can roll your dice and take your chances. And perhaps roll yourself a skiller that way. Generally, you are going to have a 1 in 10 chance when it comes to Grand Charms of item level 50, and even when it comes to higher item levels, even though on higher item levels the Grand Charms can spawn 3 additional prefixes, the chance is going to roughly stay the same. There's going to be 98 prefixes instead of 95, and 21 of them are skillers, so it's still, you know, a very good chance, and a good idea to keep collecting those Grand Charms and at some point reroll them into potentially something good. You know, if we got a skiller that gave us like +1 to cold skills for the Sorceress, for example, that would be very welcome. Or fire, of course. Lightning would be the least beneficial, but you know, of course, when you play online, you can also look forward to seeing any type of skillers for trade, but... Oh, okay, you talk so much. Yes. Oh, pretty valuable wand here. 16 mana, not worth it, but you can see that the item level of this large charm is already 53. So yeah, starting from the Great Marsh and Flayer Jungle, you can get item level 50 and up when it comes to charms. And that is, of course, very nice. And just like in the previous episode, I'm just going to dump everything onto our first page of our stash here and just sort it nicely in between episodes. I know we have the Jade figurine, but I think we're going to... Well, I'm kind of used to just doing 2 quests that we need from Alcor at the same time, just to go to his hut only once we have the Jade figurine and the Book of Lam Essen. You can just quickly do the talk with Mephisto by doing like a save and quit, for example, and then visiting Alcor once and doing all of these quests at the same time. Probably not going to do such a thing on Hell, because like every reward that we get from Alcor is going to matter a lot. Whether it's the 20 life that we can get from one of his potions or the 5 attributes. I am going to do them probably as soon as we complete those quests. About here, I guess we can allow ourselves to limit our town traveling and just visit Alcor once. This Great Marsh is not being... Alright, finally we do find the waypoint. I was about to complain about the Great Marsh there, but eventually it provided us with what we needed. Also, we have gained a level up in the meantime. And I think we just need like 1 more level to max out Frozen Orb. And then we're going to be free to do some other stuff. By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but, well, I did in the introductory episode, but since we are now operating, of course, with Frozen Orb and Meteor sometimes, both of these skills do have a cooldown, even though the cooldown of Frozen Orb is rather short. You can always observe the cooldown by the fact that this right-click icon there becomes red. So you can see that Frozen Orb is not such a bad deal, but Meteor does have quite a bit of a cooldown on it. And it also, when you switch to another skill, the cooldown ends. Like, you can use another skill, however, not immediately. There is still a bit of a delay, and I've kind of, that caught my eye when, okay, this guy's immune to cold. You can still not teleport, like, quite, oh, and lightning, I should have noticed that. This is going to be a waste of time fighting him, but Anyway, you can't quite exactly teleport like immediately after using a skill like Frozen Orb or Meteor. So it's not always that I'm slow with those skills. It's not always that I suck, but sometimes it is because of that cooldown. I'm not saying that always, it probably isn't the case. But that's the reason.
I can.
Alright, a Grand Charm. That's nice. From now we can always quiver in anticipation whenever we get a Grand Charm. It always is going to have a chance of being a skiller. Here's Sharky. We just defeated our super unique for the area, and we can get Kalim's Eye. Actually, let's check. Cold resist 19. That's a pretty hefty amount, but generally, when it comes to charms, again, let's talk a little bit more in general. It differs when it comes to certain attributes, but in most cases, small charms are going to be the most efficient when it comes to the use of space of your inventory. Like the maximum rolls on small charms are generally the best for most stats. It isn't the case for everything, but for most attributes, you know, one grand charm is not going to be able to give you the same value as 3 small charms that would occupy the same amount of space. However, there are some exceptions to that. Like for example, the large charms are generally the worst, but when it comes to stats like giving you strength or dexterity, they are actually the best bang for your inventory buck. We have found the Flayer jungle, and yeah, we actually can go there right now. We have done everything we wanted to do. This is the third pocket that's going to be empty here in the Spider Forest, so we don't really have to explore here anymore, but we can get some experience from killing these guys. No Demon Hide gloves we can take. This armor should sell for a decent amount, but I think we would have to do some inventory management. But anyway, there are some exceptions, of course, when it comes to that. The general rule of small charms being the most efficient. So the stats, the attributes like strength and dexterity, actually the large charms have the best value there, because I think you can get +2 on a small charm and you can get +5 on a large charm. But to demonstrate the difference, for example, on small charms you can get up to 20 life on a properly high item level. For these small charms you can go up to 20 life. But on a grand charm you effectively only get like 40 or 45 on a really high item level charms. Another unique. I guess we do have to deposit some stuff and whatnot and sell some stuff. But yeah, of course, you know, 3 small charms would then be able to give you 60 life in that amount of space. But a grand charm can only give you like 45 passive and magic skills for an Amazon and 16 MF. This is not going to be too useful for us. I kind of feel bad about throwing this out. But anyway, we can get that. Stout Nail is our unique, and we also had this armor. We can take that, and that's generally what I end up doing. Is I keep like the quest items in the Horadric Cube and then just finish all of the quests at once. all at once. But I mean, here I'm just going to dump some stuff into our cube just like that, and so that we can keep going. By the way, speaking of sucking, great conversation starter. But yeah, if my commentary and gameplay is worse than usual, and it likely is going to be that way, it's because it's like 4 AM here. I can't sleep, and my brain isn't functioning anymore. So apologies in advance for that. But you know, on the other hand, you know, these episodes are not gonna make themselves, so we have to press on.
Not enough mana.
And I would like to find these pockets here in the Flayer jungle. There are going to be 2 very important and dangerous dungeons for us to do here. Alright, this is going to be the Swampy pit, and there is a reason no one visits this place normally. Because this is like Doll City. This is a doll playhouse, potentially. And depending on what spawns, I think there is a chance that we are not going to get dolls on every single level. But there is a possibility of having dolls, of having gloams. So this is something that you generally don't want to encounter. However, since this is Nightmare, and of course our general objective for Nightmare is to explore these places, I'm actually going to fight through them, not just teleport through, but fight through them. But I am going to try to be extremely cautious here. Of course, gloams on Nightmare and with 75% lightning resistance aren't all that super dangerous. There was a doll group there. But, you know, they are still gloams, and since the lightning damage is so unreliable, it's so volatile, I guess, since it is usually from 1 to a certain high amount, you know, sometimes you can get a false sense of security by thinking that, well, these guys aren't that dangerous, they are not doing that much, and then, you know, some supreme burst hits you, and it's not so fun anymore. Anyway, I am going to head straight left to where the exit should be, though, even though we're fighting through. Oh wow. Okay, so, see, this is why we have the rejuve potions, because those explosions of the extremely fast dolls sometimes are hard to avoid. I am going to take that Demon Hide Sash for a possible imbue. Oh wow, okay dude. Let's be super safe there. And sometimes I even spam kind of frozen orbs ahead, just so that they can potentially slow and damage something that we don't quite see yet, something not in our vision. You can also kind of do that thing with Meteor too, just get that placed ahead of time. But Meteor has that long cooldown. Okay, there we go. There we have some dolls. Another special group bites the dust. Bite it, you scum! Another one. I thought you died already, dude. Anyway, let's sort our stuff a little bit better. Let's do our level up for a couple of more life points. Bit of a panic rejuve there, but I don't really want to get too low on health in the presence of these guys. Still I hear their footsteps, so that's why I'm kind of really not being too brave here, but I do hear them. I know that they are there, around the corner. Is that it? That might be it. We might have a moment of peace here. Demon Hide gloves, maybe.
Possible.
Alright, there we go. Now level 3 is not quite going to be the same deal as the Flayer dungeon level 3. I think it has a different set of layouts I'm not that familiar with. I think it can generate more or less as a standard level, although with some differences. Not seeing the dolls yet. We might be lucky we have a level without dolls. Just the normal flayers. That might be the case. Here all I want to do is find the golden chest on this level, and we're going to be done with it. There's a nice crowd over there, around the corner. Hiding from me. Wanted to ambush me, huh? I think it's time for a refill, even though I think we're really close to being done with that level. We do have to refill our stuff. Okay, we do have enough rejuves. Let's identify. Okay, nothing. Yeah, now when it comes to potential imbues, I think it might end up being the case that we are going to imbue a belt. I would like to finally have a 4-row belt at some point, and belts can spawn, like rare belts can spawn a lot of good stuff, and there's not that big of a choice, I think, for unique or set belts that we are likely to get. Most of the good ones we can't really count on finding. You know, we can't really, in a playthrough like that with like self-find rules, we can't really hope to find like Arachnid's Mesh or something like that. Or String of Ears or something like that. So I think it is very likely that we might imbue some belts a little bit more in the future. I thought that the chest might be here. But anyway, you know, gloves for some classes are a very nice choice, like Amazons and Assassins, because they can give them plus skills and increase attack speed. A lot of good stuff, but not so much for a Sorceress. Boots, there's generally a pretty wide choice of unique and set boots that we are likely to find that are going to give us some cool stuff. So boots probably not going to end up as one of our choices. Normally, if you don't play with ladder runewords, imbuing an orb is a very good choice. Rare orbs can be sick. Alright, where is that chest? I think I might have just missed it somewhere.
I need mana.
Before we continue, I would like to claim that chest and have an official victory here. Alright, there it is. Okay, in this little alcove. Alright, and there we go. Alright, glad to be done with that place. But yeah, talking about imbues, you know, of course circlets can spawn very nice attributes, so they are generally the like a very late game imbue type of stuff, when you wait until like level 80 and then imbue some circlets. But, you know, for the purposes of our success in this playthrough, I might wait until like level 50 something or 60 and maybe imbue a Demon Hide Sash or something like that. I think it's going to be one of the best targets for an imbue. Just judging from what is likely to drop for us and what isn't, but of course, you know, we are going to see in the future what we end up with when it comes to our equipment, and then make our decision. I'm going to wait with it still until like level, probably once we're closer to 60. And this should be the Flayer town with Gidbin and Flayer dungeon, another awesome place. Full of dangers and perils. It is going to be a true danger zone on Hell. Shouldn't be so slow here. I've kind of transferred my cautious attitude from the underground dungeons, even here when it comes to the above ground areas. And there they come. The Gidbin people. Oh nice, we do get some mana and some rejuve potions. Very nice. Okay, we still have our cube stuffed. And yeah, when it comes to the Flayer dungeon, I mentioned it before, but on Hell I'm going to just teleport straight through the whole place and not stop for a second. Just fly to the end as quickly as possible with our best FCR and FHR combo. And for that reason on Nightmare we're just going to fight through it the good old-fashioned way. But yeah, on Hell we are not going to risk it. Even on Nightmare it can be dangerous. But we are going to take those risks. And enter that danger zone like a man. Our Sorceress is going to enter it like a man. This place. The danger zone! We might have a chance of not having dolls, which of course improves our security here significantly, but it might be a little bit too early to tell here on level 2 whether we do have these battle gauntlets. Do I want that? I might want that. Yeah, 88 strength. It would have to be exceptional. Okay, we do have dolls. But yeah, of course we're not going to have that kind of amount of strength anytime soon. And by the time we do have high strength, we're probably going to have much more better options. Generally we want to find something like, you know, serpent skin or shark skin gloves, that kind of stuff that are still very light. I think this one might be like the top left. Yeah, there we go. There's Witch Doctor Ndugu. Of course we keep our distance because he is always fire immune, and we don't forget about that second Flayer who is also fire enchanted, not fire immune. Oh man, totally, we have our inventory totally stuffed, so let's just do this. Oh yeah, we of course get a rare ring from Ormus, so let's see. Okay, that's something. Big mana boost. Shame that the life amount is so little, and 18 magic find. This might be better than what we have for magic find. I think our other ring besides Nagel ring has 12% MF, so at least for that it is an upgrade. Oh, why do I have that? So yeah, it is a little something, but not going to try not to complain too much, but Ormus could have done a little better. Yeah, our MF stuff is here. Yeah, we have a 12 MF ring. I'm going to sort all of that stuff later. 5% faster hit recovery on a small charm. You know, even though with how much I value faster hit recovery, I'm not willing to, I think, keep using that. We're going to stash it just for a kind of a... We'll see what our situation is going to be on Hell on some of these areas that we do want to really fly by with our best kind of FCR and FHR combo. We might use a charm like that then. But not right now. Right now we do have a great FHR situation. And from here, of course, we still need Kalim's Brain, and I wanted that clasped orb. Maybe that linked mail could sell for something, but our situation... well, I'm going to take it. Alright, now we can go back and keep on exploring. Well, basically the only thing we need to do is now find the passage to Kurast, and there we go, there's Storm Tree. Alright. There he is no more. And these are just normal guys, not a special group. That's fine. We have a ring there. Oh, by the way, that rare ring that we just got with MF and that mana boost I'm not using because we of course need to still use the 10 FCR magic ring that we have in one of our slots in order to be at the 63 FCR breakpoint. We are only slightly above it, so if we lose that 10% FCR, we would dip down back to the 37 breakpoint. Unfortunately, we weren't really lucky enough to have a nice, sweet, rare ring with FCR and some useful stats. But, you know, it might happen in the future. Now, since we're in lower kurast, this is of course a great... full plate mail would also sell well, but we don't really have the space for it. But yeah, lower kurast of course is the area with plenty of chests and super chests, and from Nightmare it really starts becoming profitable to visit here. Oh, Sharkskin Belt might be something decent, although it is ethereal. But yeah, lower kurast with all of its chests and whatnot starts becoming really profitable when it comes to farming for charms, of course, and some runes as well. Alright, I'm just kind of looking around if we have that kind of... Okay, here we have some locked chests. Just for the future possible farming, kind of wanted to scour the area a little bit, see what the lay of the land is. What's the plan of this Nightmare Kurast? It's the city plan. There might be some areas that are going to be profitable to... You know what, just because of the damage you've dealt to me, I am going to kill you. I'm going to have my revenge. There we go. How do you like that? But yeah, in Lower Kurast there are some like blocks of the city that are easily recognizable, and they do have a lot of chests and super chests, like the bonfire tile, for example. That quarterstaff could sell for a lot of stuff, for a lot of money, but I think we're just going to progress. And here we already have the ruined temple that we need the Book of Lamesen from, and we need to kill Serena. Seems like she is pretty eager. We were able to highlight her for a moment there. So we know it was her that we have just disposed of. And we are going to pick up that Tome of Lamesen and do our level up in just a moment. Yeah, Gothic Plate would sell. Alright, we do have some space. So let's get the tome and let's quickly check out the situation here. I have some mana. Let's just place it like that and get these rejuves. And this diamond. I think that's going to be it. Anyway. Well, let's find the waypoint here first so that we can resume our adventures after we save and quit. Alright, there are some mana potions we desperately need to keep going for just a while longer. Oh, why does it work nicely always? Okay, we are maxed out with Frozen Orb, so now we're just going to continue with Meteor to make that a reliable fire damage option for us. Anyway, since we do have a couple of mana potions, even though it's not necessarily here on Nightmare to visit all of the temples, the lower, Bazaar temples are generally nice and relatively safe. The upper Kurast and Kurast Causeway temples are the more dangerous ones. So, I'm not sure if we're going to visit them on Nightmare. We have done all of those on normal, of course. let's just get that waypoint. I'm even going to ignore that skill shrine, because I do plan to save and quit in just a moment, just after finding that waypoint. Alright, there we go. Now we have it, we can save and quit. And that is for the purpose of spawning right by Mischief, or Mischief. That of course traded that jade figurine. Oh, did it drop onto the ground? Yes, it did. Alright, and now we can just visit Alcor and have 2 of those quests already finished. The Lamb Ascend book for attributes and the life-giving concoction for the statuette. Damn it!
Damn it!
May the black book bring a
Alright, I
black
need your
day to
life-giving
hell.
brew. Alright, so 30 life. Very nice boost. And of course we have completed all these quests. Oh yeah, and we need to talk to Ashira to have the Gidbin quest officially grayed out. Let us quickly do that. Alright, now we have that done. Now let's get some identifications going.
Yes.
And check out our stuff here. 19 cold resist gem, not too bad. I am misclicking all over the place, but I hope you can forgive me. My fumbling here. I'm on the brink of sanity at this point. Anyway, let us continue, and I think we can go just through the sewers, explore that, and then emerge from the sewers already in Upper Kurast once we get what we need from here. I think it's better to explore counterclockwise here in the sewers, because you can find that gold chest and then be certain of where you need to go. But anyway, we did find out what we needed to. Here's Icehawk Riftwing. Did manage to highlight him for just a moment. Want to keep our distance from him, but boom, there he goes. War Scepter for potential profits. And let's go into level 2. I'm going to be a little careful. There can be a special pack of dolls near the chest, but fortunately it's just these ghouls. Okay.
Impossible.
Really? Oh, we do have some stuff. Okay. Let's just get rid of that properly. I always, well, not always, but I often forget to empty our cube, and that leads to some problems. Alright, nothing special there. Oh. Trash there. Since it's ethereal, it's not even going to sell well. Oh, 5,000. Not that bad. Alright, now we can get that battle staff. And of course we can get Kalim's heart. Alright, and now we just need to find an exit. Alright, and we are in Upper Kurast already. Just a waypoint we need to flag here, and we're going to be able to progress to the final stages of Act 3. Are you special? You're a nobody, but I did hear a charm dropping. Oh, and it's a grand charm. Should we let our hopes fly high? Or should we remain pessimistic about that grand charm? What do you think? Oh. It is something for a potential reroll at some point in the future, but... Alright, there we go. And we go straight to Travancore. Oh, nice crowd there. A couple of these priesty champions. But with the damage capabilities of ours now, they don't even have a chance to heal up too much. I think I mentioned in the past that, you know, if your damage is not quite up to par, them, like, healing each other, these couple of champions can be really annoying. And on Hell, we might just kind of leave such groups alone. Because our damage on Hell is not going to be, you know, nearly as high as we have it here, you know, with these opponents dying very handily. It is going to be quite a different scenario on Hell. Have to aim those frozen orbs quite carefully to go in between the little pillars. But it is something that you can use in order to be a little safer when it comes to these council members especially. And especially the ones inside the building. Like here we can just throw in a couple of frozen orbs in there, without them being to harass us all that much. Here's the frozen dude.
I can't.
Oh. Oh yeah. Now we have completed the council quest. We only need to do a couple of things to finish off the quest part of the act, and that is to kill Mephisto and open the passage to him by assembling the Kalim's will. By the way, here's Cathan's staff. So we now have two parts of that set. But anyway, let's get moving. Alright, so now, of course, Kalim's Will quest is completed. And here we need to go left to find the... Oh, okay, we already found the exit. I'm not going to take my chances too much in the Durance of Hate here on Nightmare. Well, let's see what kind of monsters we have, but yeah, it is very possible to have dolls. And, you know, facing off against dolls is never a pleasant experience, never that great of an idea, but I've seen some pretty juicy groups, so let's just kill a couple of monsters here. Let's not fly through this area just completely. Okay, we didn't die, huh? Even champion dolls. Got some extra fast maulers. Almost level 51 though, and we do have a unique amulet. That has some potential. There are some rather lower level amulets that are not disappointing, like Eye of Etlich, for example. And I think it's requires like an item level of 30 something to drop, so it is definitely it's possible to drop here. We'll see what that is in just a moment. Right now in the heat of battle, let's just look for that exit. It should be on the left, on straight forward. And we do have it here, but did I flag the waypoint yet? Let's just drop the TP here. Yeah, we did explore the waypoint, but I'm, you know, at this point I'm not even sure if I if I flagged it or not. Oh man. I so don't want this episode to be a train wreck, but it might be. No Kazan's relic. Alright, 20 FHR here, and of course the massive boost to fire resistance is worthy to keep this amulet, even for something like Hell, because of that 10% increased maximum fire resistance. And the difference between 75 fire res and 85 can be pretty significant. Alright, anyway. Now we can just use our TP and venture into the final level. Here we need to, of course, follow our completionist's guidelines there. Complete our completionist objectives. We do have to kill 3 super uniques on this level. We can just go straight to Mephisto. Tasty rejuvenation potions. Alright, we did get the first guy.
Impossible.
Let's just have a... Oh, foul. That's a slightly higher rune. I'm going to take that, of course. Just needed to make some space in our inventory to be able to get the runes. Demonite gloves might be something worthwhile to check. And finally, the third guy. Get an amulet out of that. I don't think we need to do anything that's special when it comes to Mephisto. Let's just wait for his spell and retaliate with the frozen orb. And that is basically going to be our safe tactic. Use your skull missile, allow me to retort with a frozen orb. Alright, we do get some stuff. Nothing is going to be that great. Get the belt. I'm even going to take Mephisto's soulstone here.
I can't. Mephisto shall no longer darken our souls with hatred.
That plate mail we can sell in a moment. I think I'm going to come back for it. Yeah, this time we're not going to trouble Cain with that Mephisto's soulstone. We're going to take it ourselves. Anyway, Vidala's boots, you know, quite nice early because they only require level 14, but you know, it's just running, nothing else. And the way it is here. Oh, I knew I picked up a bad healing potion. So let's just dump everything there. And return for that plate mail. And let's go. And here, of course, quests of Act 3 have been completed. We do have all of the waypoints and we have defeated all of the super uniques along the way. Let us just do the level up we got in the meantime. Progress our meteor. Check out this plate mail. It sells for something, and also we got some insignificant stuff. Yeah, 27 cold res. Well, you know, at this point, we might hold on to it just for some kind of difficult situation in the future, perhaps. But yeah, just an FHR belt, basically. And 30,000 coming from this javelin with +1 Amazon skills. Alright, that's fine. So, we did manage to basically have the same kind of length of episode, but more gameplay oriented than the recent ones. Even though I have fumbled a couple of times here and there, I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.